It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, we've got a question from Finesse Angler. She says, a new Model 3 Tesla is $47K. There are trucks and SUVs, non-luxury brands that cost a lot more. Does the Model 3 still need to be 12 months, same as cash, or can we use the 23/8 car rule? This is kind of a hot take for the Money Guy show. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, this is one. Look, I try to be as transparent as possible. And we even did a show. I mean, this has been, I bet it's been a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago, where we compared a Tesla to a Honda or
Accord,
Toyota.
First 5 years of ownership.
And it was amazing to see how close. And I'm wondering, with fuel prices being where they are right now, what that would do with it. It is, these are unique times, but I still stand by the fact that because it's interesting. We have a team member here that needs a new car, and we were talking about, hey, what does a used Model 3 cost? From like 2018, because that's when one of the first ones out there, and even the used car marketplace right now is in the low to mid 40s. And so I hear that you can supposedly buy a Tesla for $47. I don't think you really can, because it's just like my Model Y that I got for $66. I think now if you spec'd it out, it'd be in the mid 80s, because even Tesla's had some price run-ups because of all this stuff. And that's why I still would encourage you to treat a model like Tesla as a luxury brand where you need to pay it off within 12 months. Because what I don't want people, and I see a lot of people in comments do, is they spread the Tesla out over 7 years. It's not uncommon. I think I still, as much as I love the Tesla, the whole purpose of 23/8 is to make sure that you are not letting the purchase price exceed what your budget can afford, so that you still have a good life, you still have the ability to save. Because what I'm thinking about as a person, with 23/8's designed so you can go out and buy the Honda Civic or the Toyota Corolla to get you to the next stage where you can pay cash, or to go buy the minivan for the family as you're doing those things. It's not to go take advantage because you found out that Toyota has the Land Cruiser, and because you heard Brian and Bo talk about that Toyota is not a luxury brand, so you can go buy the Land Cruiser, even though that costs,
way more.
No telling what that Land Cruiser, or the Suburban versus the Honda Odyssey. Because I know some of those SUVs that are with, GM and others, they're getting to where they're $80,000 to $100,000. I'm counting on all my financial mutants to have the common sense to know when we give you the 23/8, this is a grace component to say we understand life is complicated, and we've tried to give you the rules of flexibility so you get to be the best version of yourself. I feel like way too many financial pundits will tell you, hey, absolutely pay cash for this, only buy clunkers, they'll probably leave you on the side of the road if you're not mechanically inclined. That breaks my heart, because I'm one of those people. I grew up in a household where my dad was repairing, fixing everybody's car. I'm not that way. I have to go get ripped off by somebody to fix and keep my cars running. So I'd rather have a plan that lets me buy reliable transportation at a fair price. But I am counting on you to hold yourself accountable that you're not going to take this rule that gives you flexibility and margin so that you can go buy the luxury brand of a basic car company between Toyota, Chrysler, Honda, all the different brands, because we can go on extremes on all that. Use your financial mutant mentality, not to bend the rules, but to actually take advantage and build your best financial life.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to, while you were talking, I was thinking. I listened to some of the stuff you said, but I was really kind of going over my head some thoughts, because I've got an interesting take on this, but I want to open this up, that this is half-hashed, and I fully give you permission to lambast me on this if I'm so wrong. I'm thinking about, because it's an interesting question. Hey, I can go buy a Honda or a, whatever SUV, and it's way more expensive than a Model 3. Well, one, you're not comparing apples to apples, right? Like an SUV is a different car than a sedan. So you got to kind of make that metric change. You got to compare sedans to sedans and SUVs to SUVs. If you're thinking about a Model 3, I still think that's a luxury brand, because inside, I think what makes a brand luxury versus what makes a brand non-luxury has to do with the other relative options inside of that space. So if you really want to go all electric, that's the thing that you're looking for, I think you have to think, okay, well, if I want to go buy a Model 3, the all electric sedan, I should probably compare that with other all electric vehicles. Look at the prices of those. I don't know all the electrical, but I'm thinking like I think Chevrolet has some. I know Toyota has some. Nissan has some. And you start measuring that. So then the question becomes, okay, if I really want to go all electric, do I go pay $47,000 for the Model 3, or do I go pay $30,000 for some other electric?
Well,
from
Nissan
some other,
Leaf is much more affordable.
You know, I think when you're trying to compare the Model 3 Tesla to a to a non-luxury Honda, Toyota SUV, you're not making an apples to apples comparison. When you go now, if you go look at SUVs and you compare the Honda SUVs to all the other SUVs around, I think you'll start to see that normalize. So I think you have to make sure when you're doing this, it's not just who makes the car, it's the type of car that you're buying and why you're buying it that defines whether you're looking in the luxury category or the non-luxury category. Is that fair?
No, I think that's actually great guidance in there because it ties in nicely once again back to why does this rule exist? It's to give you the flexibility to navigate your finances well. Mm-hmm. Don't be the Eddie Haskell. That's probably an old reference. Nobody's going to know what it is. Where you're trying to bend the rules.
Who's Eddie Haskell?
Go Google it, and you'll see the Eddie Haskell rule is where you're trying to bend the rules to get what you want, and that's the people buying the Land Cruiser. Mm-hmm. Where you want the luxury brand without, because hey, I'm taking advantage of what Brian and Bo said. No, you're not. You're blowing up the whole concept, the foundational rules there. But I will say, I think, Tesla is because they've got on the docket. If you look at Elon's long-term plan, there's going to be even a more affordable car than the Model 3. I think that will open this up completely at that point.
Love it.